It's 6 minutes after 9 o'clock. Good morning and welcome back in. It's another edition of Colatown, our city, our stories. And I'm excited to dive back into another week here. Looking forward to some good guests for you, both the first and second half of the program. We'll have a couple of different topics for you. Here in the first half, going to talk with Christain Spearen, who's joining us from the city's Forestry and Beautification Department. Going to sit here and tell us a little bit about a number of different things. Before we get into the specifics of it, though, I want to welcome Chris into Colatown. How are you, sir?
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I'm doing well.
Yeah? Good weekend?
Fantastic weekend. Busy as always.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm really glad you're here. Appreciate you coming on in. So much better when you're in the studio, get to hang out with people and meet people face to face, hear their stories and things like that. You and I were just talking off the air. So you've been with the city now for a few years.
Yes, sir, for 3 years. And I've been with the Forestry and Beautification Department since last year.
So what brings someone, because clearly based on your previous career that you told me about, you obviously are not shy about being around nature.
No, sir. No, sir. I worked at Riverbank Zoo for about 20 years. I've spent my entire life working outside, cultivating plants. And, this is just my current version of that, is planting trees around the city of Columbia.
Chris, I got to tell you something. I just, not this past Saturday, but 2 Saturdays ago, for the first time in my 57 years, I started a garden.
Fantastic.
I'm so excited about it. I've named all my plants
Okay.
and all the pots I've had. We actually put names on them so that I can go out, because I believe in talking to plants.
Right.
And I really do. I mean that. People
Sure.
think I'm crazy, but I talk to my plants. So we've planted tomatoes and we planted jalapenos, corn, and cucumbers.
Fantastic. And those tomatoes especially.
Yeah.
There are two things in this world that money cannot buy, and that's
Yeah.
true love and homegrown tomatoes.
Yeah.
You cannot buy that taste anywhere.
I've always had a burning desire to try corn, try to
Right.
grow it. It's not an easy thing. It requires a lot of attention from and I'm willing to give it. But I'm telling you, it's only been a week and a couple days, and I go out every day and I do all my watering and I do everything I need to do, and I talk to the plants and all, and they are growing, and I'm watching them. Like my cucumber plant, Patrice, as my wife named her.
Oh, okay.
Is now kind of like wrapping itself all around the metal around, and I'm like, Patrice, you're really, settling in here.
Yeah.
But I'm like, this is so much fun. So you said you've spent basically a lifetime outside growing and doing this stuff. As soon as you said that, I got so fired up about the fact that I've only been doing this for like 9 days, but I love it.
I'm glad you've caught the addiction. I can see the green forming on your thumbs right now.
Yeah, better late than never.
That's right.
But I have always been a tree guy, and one of the things I've now built. This is the 4th house. We just moved into a house, and each of the 4 houses that I've built, I've always built with backyards that had that common area where you couldn't build on because they were all trees. Like I had the Harbison State Forest as my backyard at a couple of houses, things like that, because I love the nature and I love going on the trails and doing all that stuff. But I mean, you're a lifer. I mean, this is what you've done. So what is it that you enjoy the most about the nature?
Well, for me, especially with gardening, I like the idea of taking things that are kind of knocking around in my head, like an idea of what a garden should look like or what a planting space should look like, and then using all the pieces of the puzzle to make that happen, to create something from your own imagination and turning that into reality. So the most intimate garden I'm familiar with is my one at home. So much like you, there are plants that I've named. There are plants I have had relationships with for over a decade that
Right.
I've literally transplanted them from one garden, from one old home to a new home, and things of that nature. So
that's a true affection. Yeah.
For me, it's the long view of taking an idea, creating a young garden, and watching that garden grow over a period of years, sometimes even decades.
You and I have talked even about trees and the fact that, like I said, we just built a house, and so there's some brand new trees that were just planted for us. And,
Yes,
and
sir.
I remember from the house. Now my kids are 22 and 20, but I remember when we first built a house, and we had planted new trees, and now I go back to I see that house and I see a 20-year-old tree,
right,
versus basically a baby when it was first born, and I think to myself, it's just, nature is phenomenal. And I mean, it's incredible. And I love trees, and I obviously love what they can do for us and the oxygen and the shade and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of where I wanted to take today's discussion. What is your role first, though, with forestry and beautification?
I am the reforestation program coordinator for the city of Columbia. So essentially what that entails is we have thousands of trees planted on city right-of-ways throughout the city of Columbia, and our forestry division performs the maintenance on those trees, so pruning out dead wood. Anytime a tree is either diseased or dying or is dead, we remove those trees. And my role is to replant those trees or replant those sites with appropriate trees for those locations.
And that's important. I heard how you kind of emphasize the word appropriate, because you want to make sure you're putting a tree there that's going to be appropriate to the location. And what are some of the criteria you look for?
Well, with right-of-way specifically, I'm looking at public spaces that include various things such as curbs and streets, of course, buildings, and power lines. So all those things come into play, traffic lights, stop signs, street lights, all those sorts of things. We need to make sure that we're siting our trees appropriately, not just for the present, but 10, 15, 20 years down the line. When these trees are approaching mature size, we want to make sure that that tree has been sited appropriately.
Yeah, you want to set them up for long-term success, and you don't want someone 15 years from now to have to say, well, why did they plant this tree here? Because it's not, now we got to remove it, and it's gotten too big or too this
Precisely.
or too that. And obviously you have to think about it from a beautification, but also from a safety standpoint, because, I mean, I'm sure there are certain trees that are more likely that you can leave alone and just let nature do its thing versus others that might require more maintenance and trimming and this and that.
Yes, sir. One of the more infamous examples would be a Bradford pear tree, which thankfully we haven't planted those in many, many years.
Right.
But, you know, that's a tree, as it matures, it's just genetically a weak tree, and the canopy has a tendency to fall apart. So things of that nature, we definitely keep in mind as we move forward.
Yeah. So your role is interesting because, again, I would think that it's a pretty unique role within the city. There's not a lot of folks that have your knowledge. How did you acquire? I mean, is this something that just over the course of all the years you've been doing it, or was there actual schooling involved, or how'd it go?
Well, that whole process started, decades ago. This was in the late 90s, early 2000s. I was a student at Midlands Technical College, and I had an opportunity to do an internship at Riverbank Zoo. Upon graduating from college, I was offered a position with the zoo, and I later became a horticulturalist in the botanical garden. I was then promoted to the senior horticulturalist position there, and that whole career lasted about 20 years.
Right.
From there, I started my own landscaping business, and then I also went back into public works and became a park ranger, and then last year assumed this role as reforestation program coordinator.
So your classroom's actually been the actual nature.
Yes, sir.
That's so cool. That really is, Chris. I mean,
it's been a lot of hands-on experience.
I love that, though, because, I mean, that to me is there's no better classroom. I mean, that's one of the things why I like to brag on Midlands Tech a lot, because they provide you that opportunity, and why I tell every kid I meet that internships can lead to great things.
And mentorship, too.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of great mentors over the years, and I enjoy, sharing my knowledge and passing that down to the next generation of gardeners and horticulturalists.
Well, I wanted to take this first segment to kind of establish what we're doing, and then now we're going to do a break. We'll come on back, and when we come on back, I want to talk about Beat the Heat and and all the different things, because we're about to hit it with 96, 97 degrees this week. So stick around. Much more to come. Chris is with us. It's Colatown on The Point. Welcome back in on Colatown, Our City, Our Stories. I'm so happy to be with you. My name is Kevin Cohen, and I'm sitting here with my new pal, Chris Spearen, who's with City's Forestry and Beautification Department. Boy, what a great story he has of where he was to where he is. I love the story, and I love, again, the fact that you're giving back now. You get into nature, and I appreciate that. But now kind of giving back a little bit in the public and doing things to help beautify our city for forever. I mean, trees can be basically forever. They're a lifetime if they're planted and nurtured properly. And I want to talk a little bit about that, because we're talking about Beat the Heat.
Right.
And we're talking about some things with planting and things like that. Let's talk a little bit about what we have planned coming up the next couple of weeks.
Sure. Well, the Beat the Heat program is a program that we work with in conjunction with Columbia Green, which is a nonprofit entity that focuses on beautification of green spaces throughout the city. Beat the Heat is a program that distributes literally thousands of trees to city residents. And the next Beat the Heat event is going to be this June on the 27th at the Eau Claire Print Shop at 10 a.m. And city residents can come and they can sign up, or they can even go to the City of Columbia website or columbiagreen.com and look at the Beat the Heat program website, and there you can find a link to sign up to receive up to 3 free trees to be planted on your property.
So the requirements, I assume you have to be a City of Columbia resident?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you have to be a City of Columbia resident, but you don't have to be in that specific area of the Eau Claire area. You can do
No,
it.
sir.
Okay,
No,
so
sir.
that's good. So you
Anywhere within the greater Columbia area.
right. Okay, that's great. I love that. I mean, this is the common sense part of the moment, but I mean, when you think about the benefits that we're talking about, the health benefits that impact the city, there's economic benefits. Obviously, from an ecological standpoint, there's that. But I mean, we've had so much now, Midlands as a whole, Chris, not just Columbia, but Midlands as a whole, so much building taking place.
Yes, sir.
So many new neighborhoods and things like that we've lost a lot of our trees.
We have, and we do the best we can as far as repopulating the city with appropriate trees. There is a canopy density map of the city, and we look at areas along that map where the canopy density isn't as great as in other areas. So, for instance, we focus on planting canopy trees in areas that typically don't have a whole lot of canopy trees. One of the things about this canopy density map, what it demonstrates is that areas where we don't have mature tree canopies are oftentimes 7-8 degrees warmer than areas of the city that have those large canopy trees. So that's very important. One of the ecological benefits is it actually cools down our
Shade,
city.
yeah. I mean, think about famously hot Columbia.
Exactly.
And if we could do anything to kind of temper that a little bit, just with the natural beauty of trees, you get the benefit of the beauty, you get the shade, and again, you also can save a lot of money because it means less electricity being used for your power bills in the summer months and that kind of stuff too.
Yes, sir, that is correct. You know, one of the things about trees, even like deciduous trees that drop their leaves during the winter time, during the summertime, those trees have the ability to shade large structures, including a home. Right outside my own front yard, I have a large maple tree that provides me shade during the summer, and during the winter time, when the tree drops its leaves, my house becomes sunny during the winter time. So it's provides a great benefit for me.
Get it? That's what I was telling you about with our backyard. We built it specifically with all those trees in a forest in our backyard, and we didn't know because this is our first year in this new house. But Chris, now I'm really seeing the benefit of that because half the day, the backyard, the back side of the house is completely in the shade, and the house is cooler than I ever expected it to be, and we're not having to run the thermostat as low as we expected. So it's saving us money, and boy, I'll tell you what, we did have our first fall, and to watch those leaves change color in South Carolina, you know how beautiful it is to watch those leaves change color and have that in your own backyard. You want to talk about finding a peace of mind and all that. Now, when you add the fact that I've got my new plants in my garden growing, I'm going to be Mr. Chill.
Absolutely, yeah.
So excited about that. So if people want to get involved, though, this is going to be on, the 27th, you said?
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay.
Sir.
This is 10 a.m. to noon at the Eau Claire Print Building, and if people want to get involved, what do? They would just show up, and do they have to pre-register? Or
no, sir. All they have to do is show up, and they can find out more information on the Columbia Green website. And if they just want to show up, there's plenty of information, and the event begins at 10 a.m.
So do they pick up trees to take home? And
no, sir. You sign up to have a tree delivered to your house.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool. So they'll actually bring it right to you?
Exactly. Now, there's a whole host of different trees that they can select from small trees like, redbud trees and fringe trees that, top off maybe 12 to 15 feet on up to large oaks that can be 50, 60, even taller.
You just actually brought up what I was going to ask you next, which is if you're a homeowner and you want to have this somewhere, do the people that are coming, when you go to them, do you describe this is what I'm kind of looking for, and they'll help you pick what's right, or what's a good way to research what would be a good tree for my front yard, what would be a good tree, for that kind of stuff, where you're thinking about placing these trees?
Well, folks will be there to answer any questions you might have, and not only that, there is on the Columbia Green website, there's a list of the actual trees that they have available, and you can do research on those trees yourself, or you can ask questions. There'll be plenty of people on staff to answer questions.
Yeah, and from just a standpoint of your own, and you mentioned having like a maple tree and this and that.
Right.
I mean, if you know this is like we just built this house. This is, as far as I know, this is the last one for us.
Okay.
You know, you never know. I don't know what tomorrow brings.
Sure.
But this is the last one. So I would love to get another tree or two planted in the front yard. We only have one tree because we built in an area where they took down all the. Now the backyard I told you is amazing, but the front I would love to get a couple more trees there. So what should I be doing?
Well, I
want a big tree.
You want a big tree?
Yeah, sure. I want a tree that's going to provide shade and I can watch grow and all of that. Sure.
Well, one of the things that you can do is look at the different types of trees we have around the city and which trees actually fancy you. If you have any preferences for fall color, that sort of thing.
Sure.
If you like oak trees, white oaks, for instance, have excellent fall color. Related to magnolias are the tulip poplar trees. Those have excellent yellow fall color. Speaking of magnolias, our southern magnolia, Magnolia grandiflora, excellent evergreen, very tall with lovely white flowers during the late spring and early summer, very fragrant.
You think of the Masters.
Yes,
exactly. It's kind of makes
there's no tree that's more quintessentially southern than a southern magnolia.
Sure, yeah, I get that. So, bottom line though is there are people that can answer these questions like you are answering for me right now. But when they go out there on the 27th, people can kind of say, well, this is kind of what I have, what I'm looking for, because you also don't want to put something in that's going to be too big for your property or for your space. So you also want to do something that's going to be fair to the tree and the neighborhood.
Precisely. So if you have a patio home, you probably do not want to plant an oak in your patio garden.
Right. So again, keep that in mind. But if you are going to do this, this is great. You get a chance to get a free tree. And
absolutely.
I mean, if this is going to be a home you're going to be in for quite some time, what a cool thing. I mean, you talk about watching the kids and doing like little measurements up against the door. Kind of put your kids up against the tree and watch the tree, how it grows for the next 20 years.
Absolutely.
That would be a pretty fun thing to do.
And it'll sneak up on you quick. Yeah. I mean, I'm in my 50s now, and I drive around Columbia, and I look at mature trees that I planted over 20 years ago. I'm like, wow.
That's kind of cool. I had my uncle Larry, when he was with us, he was a plumber. Yeah. And we would drive around Detroit, and he would be like, I plumbed that building. I did that building. I did that building. He would point out all the buildings that he started as new construction, and he would show them. It's kind of his way of saying kind of what you're doing. You have the actual evidence to say, I that was just a little baby tree when I first started it.
Yeah, that's exactly. Cool. I can drive around town and point at trees and say, I did that.
I want people to realize, again, this is the obvious. I'm not trying to tell anybody something we don't know, but they're so good for us. They're so good for our neighborhoods. They're so good for our communities, not just from a beautification standpoint, but just from a health standpoint.
Absolutely. Trees famously capture CO2, carbon dioxide, and release O2, oxygen. So they are definitely a health benefit for not only us, but for all the other animals on this planet that we share it with. And, they're also the home for wildlife. They provide food and shelter for wildlife. And then we get into the whole aesthetics value. I mean, they're beautiful trees out there, and they provide flowers and fall color for us. They're just lovely. There's
no downside to it. And we have, as you mentioned, from the canopy studies that have been done, we're down from where we were, decades ago. And I think at least we've kind of figured that problem out and kind of doing what we can to remedy that. But to our friends who are listening over in Lexington, where they're building everywhere and new neighborhoods every week are popping up, I really hope that the builders understand that for every tree you take down, they should plant another tree somewhere.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if they're doing that or not. I wish more of the builders would do that. I've known some builders that have told me that they have a 2-for-1, that every tree they take down, they actually plant 2 trees.
Oh, wow.
And I think that that's a really awesome formula for people to think about, is the 2-for-1. Every tree you take down, plant 2 more, just because it's giving back. And that's a gift that keeps on giving.
Exactly.
It really is. All right, so let me, in our final couple minutes here, Chris, let's go ahead and just real quick make sure people understand again. June the 27th is the day, and that is from 10 a.m. until noon at the Eau Claire Print Building. And if they want more information, again, they can find it where?
At the City of Columbia website, or they can go to columbiagreen.org.
All right, and if they can't make it to this event, do you guys do this every year? Or is this
We do. We try to do these events at least twice a year.
Twice a year. Okay, so again, bottom line is kind of bookmark that Columbia Green website, and you'll be able to keep track of things that are going on, and just again, we'll keep people up to date here. I'd love to have you back whenever we do anything that involves nature or trees. Come on back, because clearly, you have a passion that I think is contagious.
I appreciate that.
And it's a good thing. It's such a compliment, because you've seen me just since we started this. I've lit up about this. I'm really excited about the gardening, and I'm really excited about what it can do, and I can't wait for that first batch of tomatoes.
Fantastic. Like I said earlier, there's only two things in this world that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes. You'll enjoy them. You're
a poet, man. You got a flavor to what you're saying.
That's right.
Good stuff. I'm excited about it. But listen, thank you for coming in. Thanks for what you do.
Appreciate it.
I really appreciate the give back side of it. And again, when it comes to nature and when it comes to trees and forestry and all the beautification you're doing, hopefully that's something that's going to outlive all of us.
And I appreciate what you do as well. You're helping us put the word out there, so thank you.
It's a privilege. All right, so there you go. There's Chris checking in with us. Chris Spearen joining us from the city's Forestry and Beautification Department. We'll do a timeout. We'll get you bottom of the hour news. Then we'll come on back. We're going to visit with our friends from Pathways to Career Opportunities, and also talk about the Columbia Urban League. Stick around. Much more to come. Colatown, our city, our stories. On the Point.